Hello students, today I'm going to show you how to do a wash. So a wash is when you have a really large area of your painting completely wet. So to do this, it's important that you tape your paper down. If you don't have any tape, you could just take objects and set them on the corners to help keep the paper flat. But ideally, you'd like to use some tape. So if you have it, tape it down. If you are worried about the surface that you're taping it to, you could try finding a piece of cardboard and taping the watercolor paper to the cardboard. That's an option. Okay, so let's get to it. First step, you want to take clean water. So I've got my dirty water and clean water, and I'm just going to grab a bunch of it and drop it onto the paper. Now, if we were doing this in class, I would give you a bigger brush, but maybe in another year. So just go ahead and try to get it as wet as best that you can. Then while the water is sitting on there, you can mix up some of your colors. I'd like you to choose 3 analogous colors. Those are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. For mine, I've chosen blue, red, and purple. You want to have quite a bit mixed up. So I'm going to take clean water, drop it into my red. As you're stirring, stir it sideways. Don't push straight down with the brush, that will ruin it. Hold it sideways and stir into the dry pigment with the water. And then you can just drop it out onto your palette. I'm going to mix this into the purple. Then if I want to add blue to it, I want to make sure I'm cleaning my brush out first, then picking up the blue, so that I don't get red and blue mixed up together in the containers. Okay, so now I have a nice purple going, and I'm ready to start painting. When you get ready to paint, the first thing that you want to do is to make sure it's not too wet. I have kind of a lake here in the middle, so I'm just going to take my towel and then just blot it a bit. You want your paper to be somewhere between wet and damp, not dry. So if it's dry, go back and add some more water before you start. I'm going to start with my blue and create some movement across kind of through this way. This is a background, so we want it to be kind of, think of more like shapes and blobs rather than lines, because lines could be distracting from what we're going to do with it. Think of sky. This should be something that you would see up in the sky, so maybe like clouds and mist or pollution or whatever. And then you can grab another color and mix along the edges. For this one, we want those colors to mix together, so it's okay if you let them bleed together while they're still wet. If you're getting that dry brush thing that we talked about in the last video, make sure that you load up your brush with lots of paint, and if the paper's drying out, re-wet the paper so you get this really kind of soft, washy look to this wash. Okay, almost there. If you find that your paper's starting to dry out, here I'm just going to add some water to it. You can just grab some clean water, throw it in there like that. You can also do something on purpose that normally you don't want to have happen, but it's kind of fun, and that's to do a back run. So find an area where it's just kind of damp, and then just drop a little bit of water in there. You won't see anything right away, but later on the water is going to push the paint away and create a back run. And I'm just going to add some water down here to this edge. I'll let it just sort of bleed in like it's a cloud or something. Okay, we can start seeing the back runs happening right here. You can see this blue edge happening around this part. Another thing that's kind of fun to try with this is to add some salt. This works best if you're putting this into a fairly wet but not a super lakey part of the picture. But I'm just sprinkling bits of salt around. As the salt dissolves, it will push the paint away and create little, almost like star sprays of white. I'm going to add a little bit more blue over there. Okay, once you're finished with your wash, let it dry completely before you take the tape off. If you take the tape off right away, it will stay all bumpy. If you leave the tape down, it will dry flat. So just keep that in mind. Also, if you don't like your wash and you want to start over, let it dry completely while it's taped down, then you can just flip your paper over and try again. Have fun making your wash.